You are Locked On Clippers Postcast, part of Locked On Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And to another Clippers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. I am Pete Fox. You can also find us on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. I've been covering sports in LA for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio since 2007. And been doing the Clippers Postcast since the first of the year. And that was the ugliest defeat the Clippers have had in 2024. Trying to find some depressing music to go with the depressing loss. This is kind of chill, though. Don't mind it. Anyway, Clippers got their you-know-what handed them to them tonight at Crypto.com by the Timberwolves, 121-100. Tonight's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and faster. Post your job for free on LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, this was a big one for the Clippers, and it did not turn out well once the second half got rolling. It was really the tale of two games because the first half was great. I mean, lots of hope, lots of excitement, lots of feeling like, hey, it's going to be a good game for the Clippers. And, they're going to win this one because the last time they faced off against the Timberwolves, sometime about early January, it was 109-105 in Minnesota. The Timberwolves won a tight one there. Kawhi Leonard had the big night that night, 26 points. Norman Powell had 24. It was an off night for Paul George. So Paul George was good two nights ago with 33. We think, okay, he's got it back under control, got it dialed in, and we can win this one. Kawhi Leonard played determined in the first half. Paul George had shots falling. James Harden was making buckets. I mean, the first half was great. I wish I would have just turned the game off at that point. This is just, oh, man, what a kick to the crotch. That Minnesota team is for real. I know on the postcast here when I wasn't fully aware, fully dialed in, tuned in to what the Timberwolves were all about, I made some comments that were unfair and inaccurate, and I apologize for those. My colleague here at Locked On, Sam Ekstrom, who works in Minnesota and is doing the postcast right now for the T-Wolves, was very nice and didn't really come at me after I was kind of dismissive of the Timberwolves, saying, really? That's the best team in the West? That's who we have to beat? Because I wasn't really familiar and aware with what they do. Now I am. Seeing it twice. I haven't watched the Timberwolves other than these two Clipper games, but they are for real. Their defense is suffocating, and they forced so many bad looks for the Clippers in the second half. It really went downhill fast in the third quarter because at the break, the Clippers were up 53-49. They went on a 26 run at the end of the second. And then it just turnovers, the 8-0 run to start the third by the T-Wolves. It just from there, the Clippers were kind of like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm out of ideas. I'm out of options. And that was all based on the Timberwolves defense. Not all. I mean, that's a huge part of it. But they have the best defense in the league. And you think, okay, well, what about their offense? Well, it's good too. I mean, they shot 53% tonight, 32% from beyond the arc, going 11 of 34. But the thing about their offense to me that I like is they have the same kind of depth that the Clippers do. But tonight, it just seemed to be the defense was leading to the offense. Karl Anthony Towns was penetrating and getting easy buckets. Rudy Gobert is just a game wrecker. I mean, to me, Rudy Gobert is a good defender. I didn't know he was that good. I know he's large, but just tonight, I mean, he just stood in front of the Clippers and they got fearful. shaky, unconfident. So he's fantastic. He had 17 tonight. I think it's Jaden McDaniels. Man, that guy can play. He's long and fast and just lanky. He can shoot the deep ball. He had just 1 3 tonight. It felt like he had 5. He was 5 of 8 from the floor for 11 points. So, but he plays fantastic D. A couple of buckets where he was out at the 3-point line and just did a head fake, a couple of steps to the hoop, and slammed it down with authority. So that's a guy you got to be fearful of. Of course, Karl Anthony Towns is great. He led the way for the T-Wolves with 24 points, and then Anthony Edwards, who had a bit of an off night, going 8 of 18 for 23 points. So if he would have had a big night, it would have been even worse. Again, the final 121-100, and the fourth quarter was all Timberwolves. Kawhi Leonard basically didn't even play in the fourth quarter. He was sitting on the bench. Nobody could do anything. I mean, Russell Westbrook was throwing up threes. Kawhi Leonard threw up an air ball 3. James Harden missing the entire hoop, backboard, everything. I mean, they would just come down the floor and chuck it up there. They were like, we don't know what else to do. Our penetration isn't working because Rudy Gobert's clogging up the lane. When we move the ball around the perimeter to find the open man, he's missing. And a lot of this had to do with Russell Westbrook. He came in the first half right about the 5-minute mark, like he always does, provided the energy, and it worked. It's exactly what the Clippers needed at that point. But in the second half, he did that thing where he's just missing layups, dialed up to like 140, 150. It's like, Russ, we need about 90% from you. 100's good. We don't need 140. We don't need you pinning in the red all the time. He's so energetic sometimes. It's just too much. He penetrates and it looks like, yeah, that's what we need right now. Some authority to the hoop, but he goes flying towards the basket with so much speed that he misses layups. They're just too strong off the backboard. He did it a bunch of times tonight, and then he missed open threes. Again, I think he was 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. And he had double figures though, 3 of 11 points. So his stat line wasn't terrible, but he was a big part of the reason things started to fall apart for them in the third quarter, because he was just missing clutch shots. And again, the offensive rebounds for the Clippers, not as bad as it was against Detroit when they had 0, but still won that game. But again, that was Detroit. Tonight it was a little better. Offensive rebounds for the Clips, they had 10. So it wasn't quite as bad as before, but it wasn't great. And they didn't, the Timberwolves did not give them any room to breathe. When they missed those shots, the Timberwolves would get the rebound, run the break, make a bucket, hit a big 3. They just did all the right things, and the Clippers were missing shots, and you could just see them unraveling in the third. It was not fun to watch. 40-19. The tally in the third quarter. And when it was all said and done, again, 121-100, Timberwolves win it and now take sole possession of the Western first place lead in the Western Conference. But at the end of the third quarter, it was 89-72. So that's where it all went south for the Clips. We'll take a break, come back into the bucket list, which is mostly first half. I'll be fair with you, because there wasn't a whole lot to brag about in the second half. We'll do that here in just a little bit. So, hang out while I tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. There it is. All right. With the new year here, every small business kind of has that same thought process in their head. They're asking themselves one question: what is the one thing we can do to take our business to the next level this year in 2024? Well, LinkedIn Jobs knows that your success all depends on the people you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and free. As I've mentioned, my wife and I have a small little pottery business here, and it's growing rather rapidly. And we've had to hire a couple of extra people because we've just got, we're busy all the time, and we've used LinkedIn Jobs and had very good luck finding quality people. LinkedIn Jobs isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals in all sorts of different fields, which makes the best place to hire. And also very easy to hire people there, quality candidates, and it's so easy that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, and you might not have the time or the resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn Jobs, that process is intuitive, it's quick, easy, and most importantly, it is free. Post your job for free at LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Clippers get smacked in the mouth tonight by the Timberwolves in LA, 121-100. It was over by the start of the fourth quarter when the score was 89-72. Turnovers, an 8-0 run for the T-Wolves. It was just nothing going right. Paul George did have some quality buckets in the second half that kind of make you feel like, all right, we're going to be okay. And Kawhi Leonard had a look on his face just like this. He knew that this game meant something. I was texting with Sam, our Minnesota guy, about this game, and he pointed out that the T-Wolves are a team that knows when to show up for big games. And I feel like the Clippers are as well. But now this season series is 2-0 Timberwolves, and if there is some sort of tiebreaker, the Timberwolves have it, because I don't think that these two match up again this season. But the fact is that this team is well-rounded. Being a defensive juggernaut like they are is going to be tough for anyone to deal with in the playoffs, and they're not just defense. They can score as well, and I really, really like the fact that I'm, not trying to boost the Timberwolves any more than they already are, but you have to feel confident as a Timberwolves fan and fearful as a team that could face them in the postseason, because it's not just one guy or even two. They have 3 and 4 guys who can score, and they all play defense. And we know defense is about effort, but when you got Rudy Gobert playing defense like that, he's size and effort. He's a tough guy to deal with in the paint. Although the Clippers did a decent job at times, they had a bunch of different guys on him. I know coming out of the break, Brian Shaw mentioned that Paul George was doing a good job defending Gobert, but Zubats did as well. So, I'm not completely discouraged, but this is definitely a wake-up call for the Clippers without a doubt. Karl Anthony Towns is huge. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is huge. McDaniels and Gobert, they've got 3 to 4 studs on this team in their starting lineup. Mike Conley obviously is a veteran who can fill it up as well. Tonight, only 5 points, going 2 of 5 from the floor and 1 of 3 from beyond the arc. But with his veteran experience in the playoffs, he is going to be very meaningful for them. So I am definitely worried about what the Timberwolves have. And I'm hoping that when the playoffs roll around, the Clippers do not run into them. Hopefully somebody else will, knock them out of the playoffs. But I don't know. This team is not the same team they were last year. They have a different sort of focus, a different sort of energy, and more importantly than anything, a different sort of confidence. As I said, Kawhi Leonard had a look on his face that this game meant something. This game was a point of, hey, we need to prove something. He played fantastic in the first quarter, and just a great first half for him, along with James Harden and Paul George. Unfortunately, that's where all the good play ended. So let's get into the bucket list here real quick. In at number 5, Kawhi Leonard had a 3 at the 129-minute mark of the first to make it 26-20 T-Wolves. Clippers were in need of a bucket right then. And then about a half a minute to a minute later, Kawhi Leonard had a dunk, which was huge. Came with the left hand, and, it was an energy kind of getting basket. Got the Clippers off the bench. You could tell they were rallying around him at that point. It drew them to within 4. Then at number 4 on the bucket list, Kawhi Leonard with 8.1 on the clock a huge dunk. So he scored 6 points in a row right there in the final minute and a half of the first quarter. And this just driving to the hoop with a huge dunk. You could see his energy was dialed up. He was determined, and it was the kind of thing that the Clippers really needed at that point, because the first quarter, again, was not great for them. The Timberwolves came out, and I think they went on Clippers were 1 for 6 shooting to start the game and then 2 for 9. So although the score didn't indicate it wasn't that bad because there were some free throws mixed in. Again, they only trailed by 4 at the end of the first quarter, thanks to Kawhi Leonard's play there. 2 big dunks and a 3 right at the in the final minutes. And as I mentioned, I really like seeing this energy at the end of a quarter or the end of a half with the Clippers. And they had it both at the end of the first quarter and the end of the second quarter. Number 3 on the bucket list, a PG 3. It came at the 25-second mark of was that 25 second or 2 minutes and 15 seconds? Can't even read my own handwriting. Yeah, 25 seconds to go. So not quite a buzzer beater. That'll be number 3. But Paul George had a big 3 right at the end of the second in the final seconds to give the Clippers a 50-49 lead. Then they got a turnover and the ball back. A bounce off a rebound landed very perfectly in the hands of James Harden, who stepped behind the 3 line and buried a buzzer beater to make it 53-49, which was huge. Ending the quarter like that, ending the half with a lead, we thought, all right, this is the kind of Clipper team we like to see against an opponent that is meaningful. Unfortunately, from there, it all went south. Paul George did have another big 3 at the 7:20 mark of the third. It tied the game at 62, and more importantly, it tied him with Eric Piatkowski for the all-time Clipper lead in threes. Here's what's interesting about that stat. Piatkowski needed over 600 games to get that done. I believe it's 730 some threes. PG did it in 200 plus games. Obviously, things have changed quite dramatically in the game since then, since when Piatkowski played. He was with the Clippers 9 years, but it was quite a long time ago. So a big 3, and congratulations to Paul George for tying the all-time lead in threes in the Clippers organization there. But unfortunately, it did not turn out to be a meaningful 3 in the game, as the Clippers really just fell apart from, about midway through it. Kind of right after that 3, I thought, that tied the game at 62. And then they just really went downhill from there. It just was, it felt like, honestly, the reason to me, it just felt like the defense for the Timberwolves was so suffocating. The Clippers couldn't get an open look, and they just kind of gave up, right? They were like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to dribble down and shoot. It was that. Then it wasn't even like they were playing ISO ball at that point. They were just like chuck and duck, because the Timberwolves defense just did not give them an opportunity. And the suffocating aspect of it is demoralizing. And you could see that on the Clippers' face. So hopefully it is a bit of a wake-up call for them to say, we need to be better defensively. We need to be better offensively and stay in games like this, because it wasn't just the Timberwolves defense. It was the Clippers' lack of defense, especially in transition against this Timberwolves team. They were playing offense well tonight, shooting over 50%, 54 to be specific, while the Clippers couldn't make anything tonight, shooting it at 40%. I mean, that's not terrible, but it's not anywhere near close to their norm, which is right around 50% for them on the season. And more specifically, back to December 1st, when things really turned around for them. They've been the best offensive team in the league, and we did not see that tonight as the Timberwolves win it 121-100. One more break. We'll come back and get into the superlatives, and we'll set you up for Wednesday when the Clippers are on the road to face Steph Curry and the Warriors in San Francisco. All right, a new sponsor here to the Locked On Clippers postcast, our friends at Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? I know I am. Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. I have owned a handful of Nissans, but they've never owned a Nissan SUV. I have a friend that has one, and he's loved it. He was in a car accident in it, and he said, quote, "It saved my life." I've been in a car accident in a Nissan, and I think without a doubt it saved my life. So they are very, very safe cars. They're very functional and very reliable. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for the city and great for escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is always updating the assistant to call you for most anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen informant system. The 2024 Rogue is perfect as a mid-size crossover for your next adventure or just for getting you to work and back each and every day. A 12.3-inch screen is pretty freaking huge. And nowadays with these electric cars and their massive screens, like the Teslas have 32-inch screens in there, you just feel like if it's anything under 10 inches, it's tiny. Like, what's this tiny little screen? So a fairly decent sized screen there on the Nissan Rogue, and it's very roomy, very comfortable, and gets good gas mileage as well. But if you need something a little bigger, which my wife and I are in the market for our business, so it needs to serve a bunch of different masters, as I like to say. It needs to be able to haul us around. It needs to be able to haul around equipment, and it needs to be able to get decent gas mileage. And then the occasional times when we've got the whole family in the car, we need the third row. Well, that is the Nissan Pathfinder. It can take up to 8 people, very expansive cargo capacity, and advanced availability at the 4x4 capability, a 284 horsepower engine, and up to 6,000 pounds of towing capacity. When adventure calls, you can take the boat out or a smaller trailer. The Pathfinder is your answer. Take the Nissan Rogue or the Nissan Pathfinder and find out your next big adventure. Find out where your next big adventure is at nissanusa.com. All right, Clippers definitely with a wake-up call tonight in LA at crypto.com, losing to the Timberwolves 121-100. They waved the white flag early in the fourth quarter. By the 6-minute mark, all the starters were out. Daniel Tice was in there a little bit, didn't play too much tonight, only 5 minutes. That was in the latter part of the game, the garbage time. Mason Plumlee played 9 minutes, 1 of 1 for 2 points. As I said, Russell Westbrook had 29 minutes, 3 of 11, missed a lot of important shots in that third quarter when things started to go south, but he had 11 points. His plus minus, though, was minus 21. So that is not what you're looking for. Amir Coffey was okay, but a minus 18 on his plus minus. He had 10 points, going 4 of 5 and 1 3. Boston played 5 minutes at 6 points. Norman Powell, 17 minutes, coming off that elbow to the forehead. It was not a concussion, as I suspected, which was good news. It was just a bunch of stitches, and he was right back out there tonight. He played 17 minutes, had 6 points, 1 3, going 2 of 7. Miller had 4 points in 5 minutes. Kobe Brown in 5 minutes did not score. As for Zubats, had some big rebounds tonight, 11 boards for him, just 6 points, going 2 of 5 in 23 minutes. There was a lot of discussion coming off the win against the Pistons a couple of nights ago, where the Clippers went small in the fourth quarter and left all the bigs on the bench. It really worked well for them. So they came into this one talking about and thinking about whether or not they will do that more. And they did it a little bit, I think 2 to 3 minutes in the first half. Not so much in the second half. I don't think they could afford to, because the Timberwolves' size was causing them so much issue. It would have been an uglier defeat if Zubats was not in there in the second half. So I still think that is a card in their hand that they're going to play down the road, because it does work for them, but not against the Timberwolves, because they're just too big and too long. And with that suffocating defense, you need some size in there to at least try to battle and, maintain your possession off of rebounds, offensive rebounds, if you have an opportunity. Didn't work great for them tonight. Again, 10 offensive rebounds, which is way better than a couple of nights ago when they had 0. 26 defensive rebounds and 36 in all. So a decent night on the boards for the Clippers. It wasn't terrible. But the fact of the matter is that when you're missing shots the way they were tonight, shooting just 40% and 32 from beyond the arc, 9 of 28, you can't afford to give those opportunities to your opponent like the Timberwolves, who weren't missing tonight, shooting 54% and 32 from beyond the arc. So their deep shooting wasn't fantastic. It was okay, but they just didn't give the Clippers any room to breathe tonight. And I think that's a confidence building win for them, and a definite wake up call for the Clippers that they need to just be better, just be more aggressive, and they need to shoot the ball better. I love the comment that Doc Rivers made when I was covering the team for ESPN back about 8-10 years ago, and he would say it a lot. This is a make-miss league, and when you don't make shots, you don't win. And sometimes it's the only answer. That's the reality of a lot of games. I mean, we can go and break down, defensive coverages and shooting percentages and pick and roll opportunities and stuff like that. And it's all valuable and it's all meaningful and real. But ultimately, you just have to say we didn't make enough shots, right? And we didn't move the ball around the perimeter enough. As I've said over and over again, I feel like the Clippers are a better team when they're working off the pick and roll and they're moving the ball around the perimeter. There was a bunch of opportunities tonight in the first half and early in the third quarter when they looked really good penetrating and kicking, and that just works for them. And it wasn't only James Harden. He was doing it, of course, and he just does it in such a lackadaisical, cool, calm way, just kind of floats into the lane, kicks it out to the corner. But Kawhi was doing it too. So he just had a look on his face, as I said, where he was on a mission. He wanted to win this game. You could tell that this one it was a big one for him. But it couldn't be a one-man band tonight. It couldn't be a one-man show. Kawhi could not put the team on his back tonight and win this game. So hopefully they take away from this one a wake-up call, a slap in the face, and they say, all right, we just have to be better moving forward against teams of that ilk. Fortunately, this is the best defensive team in the league, and they're not going to face them anymore this season until the playoffs, and hopefully not even then. But there are other very, very good defensive teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are on a heck of a run right now as well. So they definitely will take a lot away from this, a learning experience, a teaching moment, a game filled with whiteboard material that they will hopefully build on and improve on. As for our superlatives, just 2 tonight. Obviously, in a bitterly ugly defeat like this, there's not a lot to feel good about. But our best dressed player in the first half was Kawhi Leonard. He had 11 points. And that streak of 6 in a row right at the end of the first quarter, the 3 followed by a couple of dunks, was just sharp. And it was fun. And it was exciting. And it was just timely and what the Clippers needed at that point. And his effort was off the charts. And you could feel at that point like this was going to be a good night for us. So unfortunately, it wasn't. Credit to the Timberwolves for battling back in the third quarter and really putting it on the Clippers defensively, because they did what they needed to do. As for our most popular player of the night, I thought it was Paul George, because he had a decent night. Just, what if 5 of 16? That's a pretty sour percentage, but he had 18 points, 30 minutes. He was battling. He kept going. Like, he didn't give up. He didn't cash it in. He was in there later. And I know that's the coach's decision, but I felt like he was trying to be the man for his team, as Kawhi was. Those two guys really were out there kind of swinging the hammer as hard as they possibly could in this one. Paul George was 2 of 8 from beyond the arc, perfect from the line. His plus minus was -13. Not a lot to be happy about there, but 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. So all in all, those 2 guys were the best of the night for the Clippers. James Harden, a close third, honorable mention in this one, as he had a good first half as well. But in the second half, the negatives got the best of him. The air balls from him and Westbrook, and Kawhi were definitely not what you're looking for. Not what are going to help you beat a team like the Timberwolves. We cannot have air balls. I just kept sitting there shaking my head going, air ball. Great. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Harden. Thank you. Thanks for the air balls. Could have done without those. Anyway, can't win them all. Hopefully this is a page turner and a teaching experience that they will build on. Again, back at it on Wednesday against the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. That one will tip right around 7:30. So join me after that one right here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Thank you for joining me here tonight as the Clippers fall 121-100. They're now 20-6 on their home floor and 35-17 overall. Have a good night. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.